Hello, fellow record keepers. Before we start the video, I would like to tell you that I was recently in Salzburg, Austria, and Munich, Germany. However, this image that you are seeing is not in either of the cities. It's near Berchtesgaden, a tiny German town. This image was taken by me, and it's Hitler's Kalstein house, aka his eagle's nest, which functioned as his personal summer retreat and a meetup point for world leaders who wanted to visit the Führer. Anyways, let's begin. British PM Neville Chamberlain resigned in May 1940 due to his inability to handle the war and failure to see Hitler as a threat. Winston Churchill, also a member of England's Conservative Party, took power as the United Kingdom's new Prime Minister. Dunkirk. You've probably heard of it. No, not the movie. Well, the film by Christopher Nolan was based on real events, but I'm talking about the world-famous rescue mission. Actually, recently I watched the Christopher Nolan film, and it was actually quite good and accurate, and many regard it as one of Nolan's best movies. On May 10th, 1940, Nazi Germany blitzkrieged the Netherlands. They captured parachutists and bridges in order to make way for ground forces. The Dutch fell back, and on May 13th, the Dutch Queen Wilhelmina fled to England as her army surrendered. While all of this was happening, Belgium was getting attacked by the Nazis. German troops landed down on bridges and fortresses, and the Belgian front broke down while Nazi tanks rolled through. Belgian, French, and British forces fell back into a line in between Antwerp and Namur, two Belgian cities. To make matters worse, the Nazis began to invade France via the Ardennes forest. German tanks were also crossing through Luxembourg and the Meuse River. By May 15th, the Nazis broke through the French defenses, and they were turning westward into the direction of the English Channel. French General Henri Guéraud planned a counteroffensive 25 miles, 40 kilometers west of the Meuse, while the Nazis had advanced in troops beyond the line. Guéraud withdrew to the line of the Oise, 30 miles, 48 kilometers farther back, to block the German soldiers, but he was too late. The Nazi troops had outran the retreating French and crossed the barrier. All this was happening between May 10th and May 17th. May 17th. That's how strategic the Nazis were, and how effective that shows how effective their blitzkrieg attack was. Shocked by the successful Nazi invasion, the French government quickly moved from Paris to Tours, but they denied this to the public. Nazis wanted to cut off Allied forces in Belgium via the English Channel. After days of constant fighting for pieces of land, General John Gort, commander-in-chief of the British Expeditionary Forces, wanted to evacuate his forces by sea. The next day, orders from the British government were given, and the cabinet wanted the forces to march south to the Amiens. Gort was not pleased with this, but he followed the orders and launched the mission on May 21st. The British mission was comprised of no more than 2 tank battalions, which were backed by 2 infantry battalions. A light French mechanized division helped at the flanks. Now, the British tanks made quick work of the German anti-tank weapons, and this was actually quite surprising to the German High Command. But more pressure was put on the Allied forces when German General Walter von Reichenau advanced through Belgium, while another German general, Heinz Guderian, was sweeping north of Boulogne and Calais. Eventually, Gort's divisions were withdrawn and sent to cover the Allies' rear. When the Belgians attended right flank to join the Brits, this gave way under pressure for Reichenau, and the two divisions were rushed north. But by the time they arrived on May 27th, Belgium's center had cracked. The Belgians were overrun by Nazis, and eventually they were driven to sue for an armistice. The British government wanted to execute Operation Dynamo. They wanted to evacuate the British Expeditionary Forces by sea from Dunkirk. The Brits wanted any person from any profession or craft to help. They asked all civilians who had a boat, no matter how small, to cross the English Channel and help pick up and bring home the British soldiers. The smallest boat, was the Tamzine, which was a fishing boat, less than 15 feet long. Over 850 private boats participated in the operation. More than 200 boats were lost at sea. The British government asked for civilian boats to help with the rescue because they were so desperate to save the British army. And if the British and Allied armies were captured at Dunkirk, the war would have probably ended right there in favor of the Nazis. English Admiral Bertram Ramsay led the operation. He tasked Captain William Tennant for tactical oversight. And when Tennant arrived on the beach on May 27th, only to discover that the Luftwaffe, Nazi Air Force, had raided and destroyed the port facilities. Tennant thought that lifting the troops from the beaches would be too time-consuming, so they used the eastern breakwaters. 200,000 soldiers, used the breakwaters as a substitute for a dock to get onto the rescue ships. But the remaining Allied forces had to be taken directly off the beaches, which made the process slow. Operation Dynamo extended from May 26 to June 4th. On June 2nd, at 10:50 p.m., Tennant radioed Admiral Ramsay to address him with a great message. BEF evacuated. 198,000 British troops were rescued and 140,000 Allied soldiers, mainly French, came with them. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a positive comment.